This is the brand new Apple Watch Series 5. And here's the thing, I've been a huge Apple Watch fan myself. Like, I couldn't wait for the Apple Watch to be released. I even made a few Leaks Rumors episodes on the iWatch, way before it was even announced. I've then used the original Apple Watch for a year, the Series 2 for 2 years, the Series 3 for 3 weeks because I ended up returning it since the improvements were not big enough from the Series 2, and then I've used the Series 4 for a year, and now I got the Series 5. But rather than just doing the usual review of the Apple Watch Series 5, I want to talk about my entire Apple Watch experience in general. So get those snacks and the drinks ready, and here are the 5 main roles of the Apple Watch for me. Okay, first, the Apple Watch is essentially a smartphone attached to your wrist. What I have here is the Series 5 with cellular support, which means that it's always connected even when you're not on Wi-Fi or close to your iPhone. This means that I can receive and even make calls directly from the Apple Watch itself. I can navigate maps, I can check my emails, and constantly get notified whenever I get any new messages on social media. Like, really, aside from a camera, the Apple Watch is a full-fledged smartphone attached to your wrist. Especially now with watchOS 6, we have the full Apple Watch App Store directly on the Apple Watch itself. So you no longer need the iPhone to download apps to it, as you can do it directly from the watch. However, even though it has pretty much all the functionality that a smartphone has, it is not a smartphone replacement. Why? Well, it's because you need an iPhone to set it up first, and it does not work on Android in any way. So at least for the setup, the initial setup, you need to have an iPhone, but after that, you're good to use it without one. Like in my case, I ended up leaving my iPhone behind quite a few times and just take the Apple Watch, and I actually felt even more connected with the real world, so to say, because I didn't have a display to constantly check, yet I was still getting important notifications and the ability to make a call in case of an emergency. The only thing that I felt was missing from having my iPhone with me, like I said, was the camera, but aside from that, this is a full-fledged smartphone on your wrist. And it's not just that, this is also your personal doctor to some extent. The Series 5, just like the Series 4 before it, features the second generation heart rate monitor, which is faster and more reliable than the first generation that the first 3 Apple Watches had. So your heart rate is measured every few minutes and constantly whenever you're doing a workout. And then on top of this, the Series 4 and the 5 can also take your ECG or electrocardiogram, you know, the graph that shows you exactly how your heart beats. Yeah, that one. And according to multiple tests and studies, the heart rate monitor and ECG meter on the Apple Watch are as accurate as the actual medical devices used in hospitals, which is really, really impressive. You know, having that much capability on your wrist is just outstanding. Now, there are some other smartwatches that can also do this now. So some hybrid watches from Withings and the Samsung Galaxy Watch Active 2, but the Apple Watch was actually the first one to have this functionality with the Series 4. And speaking of health, there are a few more things that the Apple Watch Series 5 can actually do over the Series 4. So the Series 4 had something called fall detection, where if you fell and if you were not moving, it would automatically call the emergency services. This is extremely useful, and in some cases it even saved some lives. There were quite a few reports and articles on incidents of this happening. And the same thing applies to the ECG meter. So the Apple Watch can detect atrial fibrillation, which is a heart condition that causes an irregular and abnormally fast heart rate. Quite a few users have reported that after the Apple Watch gave them the message that atrial fibrillation was detected in their heart, they actually went to the doctor, who immediately ran some tests on the patients, and the doctor found that they needed immediate surgery. And this ended up saving their lives in the end. That's impressive. So yeah, the Apple Watch can actually save lives, just on its own, which is something that regular tech devices don't usually do, at least not to this extent. Now, the Series 5 did actually get a big improvement over the Series 4's life-saving capabilities, and now you can actually make SOS calls outside the country that you bought it from. So the Series 4 only had cellular antennas for the country that you bought it from, which meant that if you were using it in a different country, for example roaming, it just wouldn't work at all. With the Series 5, roaming still doesn't work outside of the country that you bought it from. However, it does work for SOS calls only. So there you go. If you're on a holiday in Spain or somewhere and you fall and you get injured, your Apple Watch will automatically call the local emergency services and possibly even save your life. And the Series 5 also adds one more thing here, and that is a built-in compass. Now, this is actually something that we've had on smartphones ever since the iPhone 3GS came out in 2009. Yes, 10 years ago. But this is the first time we've actually had it on an Apple Watch. And what this does is that it allows you to see the direction that you're facing when compared to magnetic north. So in maps, for example, you can now see the exact direction that you're facing, which is extremely useful if you do use the Apple Watch to quickly navigate the streets. And you also have the separate compass app, which is again very useful for when you're outdoors and let's say you maybe get lost and you have no cellular signal. This thing can actually help you get back on track. Then number 3, the Apple Watch is also your personal gym coach. You have the famous activity ring, where the blue ring represents the time you stood up, the red ring represents how much movement you did during the day, while the yellow ring represents the actual workouts and heavy-duty exercises that you've done during that day. The idea here is filling all 3 every single day in order to stay in shape and be healthy. And you actually get even some achievements for completing these, so yeah, the Apple Watch always tries to keep you motivated. And then when you do go to the gym, you actually have a built-in workouts app that has a ton of different workouts to choose from running to walking, cycling, and then you can even add some more specific ones such as tennis or American football and many, many more. And then once you're in a workout, it will always track your heart rate, the amount of calories that you burned, and you can easily go to your favorite songs by swiping left and play some music. The Apple Watch will connect your Bluetooth headphones, so no matter which ones you have, by the way, they would work as long as they have Bluetooth. So you don't really need to have the AirPods, but if you do, then they will sync up really, really nicely with those. And speaking of syncing up, the Apple Watch will also sync up to even some gym equipment in order to save the data from those. So you can see your running speed and the distance, for example, from the gym equipment onto the Apple Watch. And starting from the Series 2, all Apple Watches are now water resistant up to 50 meters of depth, which is pretty insane. So this means that you can easily take this for swimming, even diving. I mean, I've had all of the Apple Watches in seawater and they were absolutely fine. The bands did get discolorated a tiny bit, especially this one, the Milanese Loop, but aside from that, they were all fine. Now, before you go into water, you activate the water mode or the swimming workouts in the Workouts app, and then when you get out of the water, you just rotate the crown and the Apple Watch will play this noise and eject the water that got inside. So yeah, really cool stuff. So the Apple Watch is perfect for swimming and doing any outdoor or indoor activities. Especially with the built-in GPS and the cellular model, this is the perfect device to carry around for when you're running, for example. This, plus the AirPods, is just fire. Also, something that not a lot of people know about is that even if you do not have the cellular model of the Apple Watch, you can still, in fact, download music directly onto your Apple Watch for offline playback. You can easily do this from the Apple Watch app on your iPhone, and the Series 5 also comes with 32GB of internal storage, up from 16GB on the Series 4. So now you can store twice the number of songs. Now, one of my favorite features of the Apple Watch is that you can easily really make it your very, very own, which is, funny enough, quite the opposite of what Apple stands for. Apple has usually been the company that only offered one all-in-one desktop design, one laptop design, one phone design, and one tablet design. However, recently they've started becoming more accepting to the fact that everyone wants a slightly different thing. So now we have 3 iMac models to choose from, 2 sizes for the regular one and the iMac Pro. Unfortunately, aside from the color, the design is identical. But aside from that, they do offer 2 choices now when it comes to laptops. The MacBook Pro and the Air, each in multiple colors and 2 different sizes for the Pro. We now have 4 iPhones to choose from, again, each in multiple color options and even multiple sizes in the case of the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 11 Pro. And we also have 4 different iPads to choose from, each in multiple colors and even 2 sizes again for the iPad Pro. So Apple's finally offering us more and more choices. But really, there's no other Apple product that offers more choice than the Apple Watch does. First off, you choose the size. 40mm or 44mm case. Then you choose the material that that case is made from, and you actually have 4 materials to choose from here. We have aluminum, stainless steel, titanium, and ceramic, and the first 3 even come in multiple colors to choose from. Aluminum comes in silver, space gray, and gold, stainless steel comes in silver, space black, and gold, and titanium comes in regular and space black. The titanium is the brand new casing material now, and it's a bit of an odd one, because you see, it's more expensive than the stainless steel, however it sits right in between the aluminum and the stainless steel model when it comes to the looks and how it feels. So it is lighter than the stainless steel model, but slightly heavier than the aluminum. For example, for the 44mm model, the aluminum weighs 36.5 grams, titanium is 41.7, and the stainless steel is 47.8. However, personally, I couldn't really tell that much of a difference between the two, the stainless steel and the titanium, in terms of the weight. And then even when it comes to the texture, the titanium one looks closer to the aluminum model than to the stainless steel. So stainless steel has this glossy look, and in my opinion also a more premium feel and look to it than titanium. So yeah, black stainless steel is my favorite Apple Watch case. But there you go, you do get 9 different case colors and materials to choose from, so you get plenty of choice. And then you also have the bands. So not only are the bands fully compatible with every generation of the Apple Watch ever released, but Apple also offers 8 different bands to choose from, each with multiple color options, which Apple also refreshes every few months or so. And on top of this, you don't even have to stick with Apple's own bands, because there are many third-party options out there that not only offer better quality than Apple's own bands, but also an even larger selection. And a very good example of this would be Banvik. Bandwerk is a German leather maker, and they use first-class premium leather for all the Apple Watch bands that they make. And they not only want to sponsor this video, but they've also sent over 8 different unique bands for us to have a look at, and also a stainless steel Apple Watch Series 5 for myself. So yeah, I really appreciate that, Bandwerk. Thank you once again. And their bands are actually one of a kind. So this one right here is called the Visionaire band, and it is actually made from the leather of the interior seat of a 1986 Porsche 911 G Series. There are only 179 pieces of this in the whole world, and ours is number 50. Then another one that I absolutely love is this white Saffiano Blanc one, which is part of their Paris collection. So this one was actually manufactured in Bavaria according to the traditional Wartenberg process to meet the highest quality requirements. All Bandwerk bands actually come with a matching clasp, so if you have a stainless steel Apple Watch or a titanium one, for example, you can select the exact clasp for your watch. They all come in these very nicely made boxes, which are actually wrapped in banana paper inside this protective pouch as well, so they're perfect for gifts. Check out Bandwerk using the link below. And speaking of gifts, we've actually teamed up with Bandwerk to give away 7 of these bands. Yeah, just make sure you're following @ZenOfTech and @Bandwerk on Instagram, and leave a comment on this post saying which one of these bands you want to win and why. And we'll announce the winners in a week from this video going live on Instagram via DM and story. So yeah, good luck to everyone, and thanks again to Bandwerk for being a sponsor of this video. And finally, the 5th big new feature for me when it comes to the Apple Watch is that it's a very, very good, timekeeper. You get 31 watch faces to choose from, with more and more being added in every WatchOS update in September every single year. Not only that, but whenever you select a watch face, you can customize it even more. So you can change the style of it, you can change the size of the actual clock on some of them, you can change the color of the second hand, the color of the entire watch face, and way, way more. So yeah, there's a ton of further customization that you can do with those watch faces. And on top of this, you can even add complications, which are basically widgets onto the watch faces themselves, to get not just quicker access to things such as workouts or music, but also have more information displayed on the watch face, such as when it is going to rain, the UV index, podcasts, and pretty much anything that you want. Yes, you can even add complications from the third-party apps that you have installed, so the selection here is just massive. Now, the Series 5 did add something quite big in terms of keeping time, and that is finally an always-on display. Now, there is a lot of fuss about this, however, Android smartwatches have actually had this for many, many years now, so it is nothing new for a smartwatch, but it is definitely something new for the Apple Watch. The way it works is that when you're putting the Apple Watch into sleep manually, or just going to sleep by itself, the display won't turn off anymore. Instead, it will show you the full watch face just with a lower brightness. So that's pretty cool. And if you have a bright watch face, by the way, with lots of color and white accents, your watch face will slightly change and the animations will also be turned off in the always-on display. Now, Apple did include something called an LTPO display panel, or a low-power display, in this Apple Watch to make that always-on display possible. But something that Apple hasn't mentioned is that the Series 4 from last year also had this very same type of display, an LTPO display. So then why don't we have an always-on display on the Apple Watch Series 4? Well, the Series 4 lacks the new display controller that allows the Apple Watch Series 5 to dynamically adjust the refresh rate from 60 Hz to down to as low as 1 Hz. This means that when you're not using it in always-on mode, the Apple Watch will refresh its display every second rather than 60 times a second like it would normally do. And this does help conserve battery life. Now, speaking of the battery life, at the end of the day, with my Series 4, I had about 60% battery left or so, which was quite nuts. So this meant that in quite a few cases, I was able to use my Apple Watch for 2 days straight. With the Series 5, however, with the always-on display turned on, in the first few days, I only had about 15% left at the end of the day, which was pretty bad. And this was without me even going on a workout, by the way, because if I did that, especially with GPS and Chiller enabled, it would have died on me midday. However, after about 1 to 2 weeks of use, interesting enough, the battery life started improving considerably. So now I actually end up the day with about 50% battery left. So still not as good as my Series 4 was, but much, much better than my Series 5 was in the first few days. So if you're experiencing any battery life issues with the Series 5, just leave it for a few days until all the files get indexed and it will be improved. Okay, so in the end, should you get an Apple Watch Series 5? That is the question. Well, if you already have a Series 4, then absolutely not. You're just getting an always-on display and a compass, which you'll probably never use, by the way, the compass, so it's just not worth it for that. But if you have a Series 3 or earlier, then the Series 5 is actually a very good update. Not only are you getting a brand new design, a larger display, but you also get the ECG meter, an improved heart rate monitor, fall detection, a much faster processor, which by the way is the same one as in the Series 4, so 4 and 5 has the exact same processor. And And you're also getting that always-on display. Now, if you don't have an Apple Watch at all, again, the Series 5 is a very strong choice, since now we finally have an always-on display that many Android smartwatches have had for years. And this was the main missing feature of the Apple Watch. But if you don't need one right away, well, the Series 6 next year will very likely come with a brand new design. It's only that you have to wait until September 2020. But there we go, this was the Zone of Tech in-depth Apple Watch Series 5 review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Series 5 in general, and if you have an Apple Watch, which model do you guys have? Don't forget to check out our website, especially the article sections, which we've now launched fairly recently, if you want to read actual articles of not just the videos, but also some interesting topics in general. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Zone of Tech, signing out. Cheers.